There we go. Okay, you tell me when you can see it.
No, not yet.
It's a long way to Australia.
I was quite pleased when it turned out that you clearly assumed I was in the Eastern States, and so what I thought was going to be a 6 o'clock meeting to be a 3 o'clock meeting, which is a lot easier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Big...
appeared now. Yeah, particularly because we don't have daylight savings, and the Eastern States do, so that makes a big difference.
Right. Okay.
Makes it even bigger.
So
yeah, I can see that now.
Okay, great.
Those 3 hours at the moment.
Okay,
yeah.
fine. Okay, so I'll take you through, I'll take you through an overview of the solutions, and we can go into more details, and then maybe, we'll be able to see how, if there's a possibility, to offer these to your clients on a consulting level or even more than that. So, okay, so I'll give a solution overview. Like I said, go to in more detail. There's a couple of videos which are very good. And if you're interested, some people are more interested in the topology, some less. We can go through the topology, and there's also options how to try it yourself. Okay, so broadly speaking, Sphere Shield, which is our product, we offer compliance solutions, access control, and threat protection capabilities for unified communication. So, like we've spoken about, we're actually a company. We're 7 years old, and for the last probably 5-6 years, we've been really all our clients in those first 5 years were Skype for Business on-prem clients.
Yep.
But we saw that we had very good capabilities, so we expanded to Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx, and Slack and Zoom are coming soon. So I guess this is, between us, it's more relevant Microsoft Teams, but just to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's just a brief overview of our solutions. And then, like I said, I'll go into more detail. So the first solution we have is called Ethical Wall. There's two main capabilities over here. The first is that organizations can control who communicates with who. And secondly, they can also dynamically control the communication capabilities. So, for example, audio, files, and video. This is actually one of our most popular solutions, especially with organizations that have, high regulations and policies about controlling the communication between the users. It's internally and externally, so we'll go into that in more detail. Our second solution is a DLP solution, so data leak protection or prevention. So this prevents sensitive data in real time from being sent by MS Teams to people that shouldn't have access to that data. Microsoft does have a DLP, but I'll speak about the differences between us and Microsoft. There are some significant differences. By the way, apart from all the differences between us and Microsoft, price is always a difference. So we're always significantly cheaper than Microsoft. But there's also some actual quality differences also. Another solution we have is Risk Engine. So this offers security control by defining geolocation rules and detecting and handling anomalous behavior. Again, we'll see that more in detail. We have an e-discovery solution, which is an on-site archive and search of all communication. Again, Microsoft does have an e-discovery, but ours is much better and cheaper. Have threat prevention. So we offer anti-phishing and anti-malware scanning of files and messages. And then this next solution is at the moment for people going into Teams and migrating to Teams. This is probably the most popular at the moment because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the size of the organization. It could be a bank, a government department, or it could be just a little startup with 5 Teams users. Everybody needs channel management. This is the ability to move channels between teams, to archive channels, and to export them. And we've got a lot of interest in this at the moment. We've got conditional access, so we can restrict access only to managed devices. And something that's coming soon is compliance recording. So here there'll be the ability to search all the company recordings, to have the e-discovery apply also to recordings. There'll be the option to store the recordings on-prem. So for organizations that have high regulations and they don't want to store anything in the cloud, they want to use their own servers. So that's a possibility. There's also the option to have transcripts of the audio and the ability to do NLP analysis. And there's also something which is also important for companies with high regulation is, at the moment in Teams, you're able to record a conversation. So for example, I just started recording this conversation, but some companies may want to enforce a recording policy. So they may want it that it doesn't matter, every single conversation should be recorded, regardless of whether the user actually actively presses record. They want it to be recorded. So that's something that we offer. And we also offer the ability to share the recording externally. So at the moment, the way it works is, I'm recording this presentation and I'm going to have to share it with you, but it's a whole long process and quite complicated to be able to share it with you. I can't just simply share it with you. I have to download it to my computer, upload it to YouTube, and then send you a link and make sure that, we're the only ones that can see it in YouTube, and etc. And what we offer is a simple link that you get straight away, which will be shareable within Teams. So that's something which is also very useful. Okay, let's go into ethical wall a bit. So, sorry, just 1 second. Give me 1 second, sorry.
No worries.
Okay, hi, sorry. All right, so here, like we said, we can control who can communicate with who, and also the different modalities of communication. In this diagram, you can see a typical sample of an internal
I'm still
policy.
on the previous slide. Hasn't come
Okay.
through. I had noticed that earlier, actually. Oh, there, got it. No, sorry. Thanks.
Got it. Okay, great. So here you can see a typical sample of an internal policy. So you've got group A and B are completely permitted to communicate with each other, while group B and C are blocked from communicating with each other, and group A and C are controlled. So some of the capabilities are allowed and others are restricted. And in this diagram, can you see this one?
Nah, still in the old one.
Okay, tell me when it moves. That's a real delay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, got it now. Yeah, federated.
Okay.
Yep.
So in this diagram, we can see a policy controlling external communication. So for company A, which is an external company, federated company, we allowed communication, but only with a specific group in the company, group A, not group B. Whilst for group B, we limited the scope of communication, and for federated company B there on the right hand side, we limited the scope of communication with group A, and all other communication will be blocked. And really the best way to understand this is to watch a short video. So let me show you a video. Got two short videos. One is internal block and one is external. So I'm actually going to can you see the video come up yet?
Nah, I just see the 2 squares. Start. Yep, got it. Yeah, internal block using an ethical.
Yeah. Okay, great. So this is internal block using ethical wall. So we have two people in the organization, or two groups, the researchers and the investors, and the company policy doesn't want to allow communication between the researchers and investors. So here, this is the Sphere Shield admin portal. So you can go to make a policy. On the left-hand side, you choose a group investors, and the information comes from the Azure Active Directory. On the right-hand side, you can choose a group researchers. You set a policy rule to block and save. And now, under this policy, communication is blocked between investors and researchers. So if Alice tries to send a message to Bob, the message is blocked. And notice that it's blocked in real time. So it doesn't get to Alice or to Bob at all. And also, he tries to call, and that's also blocked because of this policy. But this policy is only between them. So communication would be allowed with other people in the organization. So Alexa's an engineer, and she can communicate with anyone internally. As you can see over here, she can, Alice can call Alexa and message Alexa. However, policies are enforced in a multi-participant conversation. So if Alexa, for example, who's allowed to communicate with anyone, if she tries to make a multi-participant conversation between her, Alice, and Bob, there'll be a problem because Alice and Bob can't communicate with each other. So you can see that the content is blocked due to company policy.
Oh, I'm currently all I can see is black. It kind of comes and goes a little bit. Yeah, I'm mostly seeing it just a bit behind what you're saying. So that's getting the now got go messages blocked by. Yep, got it.
Okay. So
no.
The ethical
you go.
Ethical. What can you see now?
Ethical wall policies are applied to the meetings as well.
Yep, they're applied to meetings as well. Exactly. So if Bob over here wants to make a meeting with Alice, so he schedules the meeting in Teams, and then he tries to join the meeting, and he gets a pop-up saying that something went wrong because communication is blocked. And everything is recorded in the admin portal. It can be reviewed. It's very easy, intuitive, user-friendly. Here you can see all the incidents, the users that were involved, and the activity type that was involved, the operation. Over here, the operation is all set to block, but you could also just set it to control. So it will all be picked up, like who's violated the policy. So that will depend on the organization, what they want. So that's the internal block. And then we have a video for the external block and control using ethical wall. Can you see this?
No, I'm going to see the default policies set to block.
Yes. So the default policy is set to block external users from communicating with any company user. Obviously, that can be changed. But here you can see the default policy. It's set to block. So let's say you have Henry who works for an external company, Kitty Tech, and Alice tries to send him a message. So that message will be blocked.
Yeah.
If the company wants to allow only the investor group to communicate with Kitty Tech, so you simply add a policy to allow the communication between them. The policy here is called Investors and Kitty Tech. And then on the left-hand side, you'll choose an internal group, Investors. Again, it comes from the Azure Active Directory. And on the right-hand side, an external domain, kittytech.com. And now Bob, who is an investor, can communicate with Henry from Kitty Tech. So if Bob tries to send Henry a message, it should go through. Yep, it went through. That was lucky. Okay. And you can also control specific communication capabilities. So, for example, files, audio, etc. So here we're in the same policy, and it can be altered to restrict file sharing. So here, for example, Bob he's allowed to communicate with Henry, but if he tries to send a file, that file will be blocked. So it's very detailed.
Yeah.
And if he tries the same file from Bob to Alexa would be able to be sent. And again, all incidents are recorded in the admin portal, just as before. It's the same admin portal, so you can see the users who were involved, the domains, and what happened, etc. Okay.
Cool.
So the ethical wall actually works like a firewall. So you define and set different policies, and then the engine scans the policies from top to bottom, and it applies the policy that has the first match. So just to recap, we've seen that conditions can be constructed using users, domains, and groups. The rules cover the main capabilities of teams. So, messages, files, video, audio, sharing, etc. We've also seen that Sphere Shield covers all the team's scopes. So it covers, for example, chats, channels, teams, meetings, and there's a recursive validation of multiple users. We've seen in-context messages and pop-up messages, which really depends on the operation. And the product will actually remove a member from a team if their addition to the team is in violation of the policy. So in such a situation, a message will be sent to the general channel of the team. Every team has a general channel, and it explains the reason for the action. Something which is relatively new is that in the video we saw that if Bob tries to make a meeting with Alice and he's not allowed to communicate with her, so he won't be able to join the meeting. But what we've added is that we can actually pre-validate the meeting before it begins, so as soon as it's scheduled. So in such a case, the user, or Bob, let's say, who's violating the policy, so he'll be removed from the meeting, and a message will be sent to the organizer. We've also seen that everything is registered in the auditing section, and this obviously is for the improvement of compliance and awareness, so that organizations can educate the users of how to use it appropriately. There's also several reports that come along with the ethical wall solution. So, for example, there's a report about the users who have mostly violated the rules. You can get reports about the domains which were mostly communicated with, and there's more reports, obviously. And again, this can be used for training and awareness of users. So that's the ethical wall solution. What's your initial thoughts about that solution?
Yeah, it's interesting. My concern really is just about how much. Yeah, particularly for me, it's sort of I'm probably not getting it involved at this level yet. We're sort of we're sort of newish to teams, so whether I'm sure, yeah, clearly we're obviously ourselves including this on other systems, but for including this for clients, but I personally hadn't realised we were doing enough team stuff to actually be putting this kind of thing in.
Right.
But yeah, no, like I said, it looks like it's a useful product.
Okay.
I increasingly wonder whether I suspect I'm really probably not the right person, but even if you're recording it though, it gives Brett something to go through.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, because I'll carry on with the presentation just because it's being recorded.
Yeah,
I think probably for you, if you're beginning to dabble with Teams, probably the most interesting solution for you at the moment is the channel management solution, because it's it's a functional solution. It's not really just for organizations with high regulations, and data protection regulations and whatever. It's something which anybody using Teams, it doesn't matter who they are, they're going to be interested in it. So I'll go quickly through the next solutions, and then I'll show you the channel management. I think that will be very interesting to you.
Cool.
So so we've got a DLP inspection. I guess this is this is for Brett, so I'm saying it on the record. Microsoft does have a DLP solution, but we're differentiated in 3 or 4 significant ways from Microsoft. So first of all, Microsoft's solution is passive, which means that they don't block the content in real time. They block it in near real time. So if somebody's sending information which is sensitive, it will reach the cloud. It will then reach the other user, the second user, and then a couple of seconds afterwards, it will be deleted. But that's okay for some organizations, but some organizations don't rely on that. It's not good enough for them, especially being that if somebody does have not good intentions, it is possible, and we've actually tried it. It's possible to, let's say, download a file within those couple of seconds before it's deleted. So we offer real-time DLP, which means that if there's sensitive information, that shouldn't be shared, so it won't reach the cloud, it won't reach the second user, it will be blocked at source. So that's the first differentiator. The second differentiator is that at the moment, Microsoft doesn't offer their DLP for external, sending the information externally. So it only checks information which is sent internally. But our solution is also for external information also. So if somebody is sending a message to someone external from the organization, that will also be checked, and if it violates the policy, then it will be blocked. And the third also important advantage that we have is that a lot of companies already have existing DLP infrastructures. So for example, they're using McAfee or ForcePoint, Fidelis, Symantec, any of these vendors which you can see on the screen, and they have that infrastructure already, and they have their platform, and they don't necessarily want to learn a whole new DLP infrastructure and how to deal with a whole new DLP engine. So what we offer is the ability just to take the Teams traffic and send it to those vendors, and they'll check it, and from the organization's point of view, they don't really have to do anything new. They can just keep on using their, let's say, McAfee or ForcePoint, which is their DLP engine for other things that they use in the organization, and then we're just incorporating the Teams traffic into that. I'll show you a video, because again, videos explain things the best. So this is enabling real-time DLP inspection. So the first example is using a Microsoft desktop client. So Alice is on the left, Bob is on the right, and communication is seamlessly inspected between the device and the cloud. And for this demonstration, we chose the words catch-22 to be defined as sensitive. So if Alice tries to send Bob a message which has catch-22, it's blocked. And notice over here, very important, that the message was not received by Bob even for 1 second. It was blocked at source. And it's inspected in real time. And then another example using the Teams web client, but here, I mean, the fact that they're using a web client, I guess, is important, but more importantly, Alice is going to be trying to send Bob a file containing the sensitive data. So you can see here there's a file which says catch-22.
I haven't got it yet. I'm still. I saw the last. I know you got. I'm back now. Yep.
And she's trying to upload the file, but the upload failed because it was the sensitive data.
Fair enough.
And then also using the mobile client, for example, if Alice, let's say, tries to send Bob a credit card number, which obviously is sensitive, that also will be blocked and won't be sent. We do offer the DLP also in near real time, but again, we offer it in real time also. Yep. Policies can be defined to inspect only traffic sent to external users also. So here you see the Sphere Shield admin portal, and you can choose to block, and under the scope you can you choose external and guest. So now between Alice and Bob, the internal content is not inspected, so she'll be able to send a message which contains sensitive data. So here, catch-22, you see that it does go through, but if it's sent to someone externally, it will be checked. So if Alice is writing the same message to Henry, who is external, the message will be blocked. And the DLP scope can also allow controlling specific teams. So you can set policies to, let's say, inspect only traffic going to, let's say here we had a team called Project X. So if you have the same message with the same sensitive information sent to the developers team, it would go through. But if it was sent to the Project X team, it would be blocked, as you can see over here. And again, as we saw with the ethical wall, everything is recorded in the admin portal with all the information that's necessary. And there's also actually a nice integration between our DLP solution and our e-discovery. So if there is an incident, you can get the whole scope and of the conversation and see the context, not just the blocked word, for example.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to just skip these. This is just going over the DLP. We've seen all of this stuff in the video. That's really, it's just a recap of what we've seen in the video. Okay, next solution is e-discovery. So e-discovery supports search by various parameters. So you can search based on text, time, conversation type, users, and more. And conversations also can be exported or deleted as needed. And as we saw before in the video, there's an integration between our DLP solution and the e-discovery. So again, if you have a DLP incident, you can click on the incident and you get the context of the message over and above the simple blocked word. Okay, then we have a risk engine solution. I'm going to go through this slightly quickly because, again, like you said, this is maybe this is just for the record. So the risk engine contains two main layers. We've got the geolocation and user and entity behavior analytics. For the geolocation, so the product offers a live map showing from which locations users signed in or failed to sign in. And the company can set geofencing rules defining from which countries they allow or block sign-in. So if there are certain countries or that they don't want anyone to sign in from, that can be that you can make a policy based on that. And it can also the policies can be set based on users. So if you have a team, let's say the sales team, they're traveling, so you want them to have more liberty about where they're able to sign in from. So, you know, they can have different policy from people who are working just from the home base. Okay, and then we have user entity behavior analytics. So this is also an extra security layer, and it profiles behavior. It detects anomalies. So the engine specializes in unified communication activities, and it can control messages which are shared, and it can also see the time and more. And when an anomaly is detected, a security incident is created and handled. So I'll give you an example. So just for example, you can have an impossible traveler. So here, for example, you'll have someone sign in from America, let's say, and then shortly afterwards, he's signing in from Australia. And it's impossible to travel in such a short time between America and Australia. And there's you can even set a flight speed parameter, so that would be picked up.
Cool.
Another example is, let's say, detecting a user downloading a large amount of data. That would be picked up. Or let's say he's working non-regular hours. That can also be picked up. I don't know what the situation is in Australia. Maybe you could shed light. But in Europe, they're increasingly becoming more and more controlling about employees working out of hours. They don't like people working out of hours. So
not that much that I've
no.
seen. I think we sort of lag behind a bit on that.
Yeah, I know. In England also, that England is not part of Europe for that, but Europe is like, you know, I think there's even, you know, some people have rules about sending emails like after 9 o'clock or something. They don't like it. Anyway, maybe
it sounds like a good rule.
yeah, I think it's a good rule. Okay, this report is it's part of the risk engine, and it shows a live list of all users connected to Teams, including information such as the device, IP, and more. Okay, we have threat protection, which is anti-malware and anti-phishing. So this feature identifies and handles malware and viruses before users can download the file. It also inspects messages to block phishing attempts. And just like the DLP, this solution can also be integrated with the leading vendors such as McAfee, Symantec, etc. Okay, so here we are. This is a channel management solution. So until now, our solutions have been very focused on security and compliance, and they're much more geared towards you know, big organizations in the financial industry and governmental organizations and organizations with high regulations. Whereas this, like I said before, the channel management is something which is much more of a functional solution. So the issue is, are you aware with the user voice forum in Microsoft?
Sorry, sorry. Give me one. Sorry, just 1 sec.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had someone talk to me. I missed the last probably 30 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a functionality solution. So this solution is, you know, it's not just for big organizations with high regulations. This is for everybody. And there's a feedback forum in Microsoft called the User Voice. Are you familiar with the User Voice forum?
Yeah.
So in the User Voice forum, there's 2 issues which have been on the backlog for ages, still on the backlog, and for some reason Microsoft are not dealing with them, and they've got thousands and thousands of votes, like 10,000, 12,000 votes. One of the issues is having the ability to move channels between teams. And one of the issues is the ability to archive channels. So basically the issue is that people who are using Teams, and again, it doesn't matter we're talking about. We could be talking about a little startup. We could be talking about a big organization. It doesn't matter. People who are using Teams, what they find is there's really two issues. Number one, when people start using Teams, a lot of times they don't plan ahead of time about how they're going to be setting it all up and using it. So they end up with all these teams and all these channels, and
I'm
it's
at about
just
40 teams, I think.
yeah. And it's a complete mess. And then at some point they're like, you know what, we have to clean this up, and you can't move the channels. And they want to move the channels. So that's number one. And number two is, even if you do plan ahead of time, you know, organizations evolve, projects move from one team to another team, and sometimes organizations, you know, it's built in that the process, their business process will require them to move channels from one team to another team. So that's something which you can't do right now in Microsoft Teams, but we offer this possibility. And secondly, the other thing which people want to do is they want to be able to archive channels. So, as you know, I'm sure there's a limit of 200 channels per team, and a lot of times the limit is reached, or people don't want to reach the limit, and they have all these channels which are not used anymore. You know, they were for a certain project or a certain customer or whatever it was, and it's not relevant anymore, and they don't want to delete the channel, because you never delete stuff. You always want to have it for future reference, for legal reasons or whatever, but they don't want it cluttering up their teams. So at the moment there's nothing much you can do, but we offer a great solution to be able to just archive this channel, so it's not deleted, but it's not cluttering up your teams. Actually the third thing that we offer is the ability to export the channels to PDF. So sometimes organizations, companies, businesses want to be able to just have a printable version of what's being communicated within their channels. Here you can see an example of the Sphere Shield admin portal, and it's very intuitive.
Loading out quite fast again now for some reason.
Okay, it's very intuitive. It's very easy to use. You have here a list of all your teams. You got the manage button. When you press the manage button, you'll have 3 options that come up. You can move or export or archive, and you choose the channels you want to move, and then you choose the teams you want to move it to. If you choose to archive, it just automatically archives it. If you choose to export it, so it comes up with a PDF which is downloaded to the computer. So I think that if you're just, getting involved with clients, setting up teams or consulting, I think this is something really, really important to start with, because this is something which everybody is running into this issue about, just how to manage the teams and the channels. And I think probably for you, this is the most valuable thing to take for your customers.
Yeah, it does look pretty useful. They haven't done the other thing I really want in Teams, which is the some sort of way of setting up folders. that's my biggest bugbear. Just because I've got so many teams that I want a way to roll them up a bit more.
Right.
But as in fold, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't actually looked to see if anyone else has the same issue.
I'm going to write that down, because we love getting feedback from people, because we're able to do a lot of stuff. And if we get a lot of feedback that, for example, in channel management, for example, we've had tons of customers coming to us. Oh yeah, we want to do this, we want to do that, but the possibilities are endless. What exactly do you want to do, and what do you want to move, and how do you want it to move, and how do you want it to look, and etc. etc. So what we try and do is we try and build solutions based on what the customers want. So I'll forward that folders, meaning having let's say a sales folder. Well, the idea kind of is that the way it was built was that the team is meant to be
the folder. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's just the way it's worked. It's worked in our thing is we often end up with, say, if I'm working on 5 different bids, I might end up with a team per bid, and which is it's not a great way to organise it, but that in practice that seems to be how it is.
Right.
And it's some of my teams are out of sight at times, so you don't notice that you're getting that there've been updates or anything.
Right. Okay.
But yeah. I don't know if anyone else outside our organisation has that issue, but we do.
It's the first time I've heard it. I've got to be honest, but doesn't mean it's not possible.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have a conditional access. So this again is more of a security feature, where companies, they've invested lots of money in MDM solutions like MobileIron, BlackBerry, whatever, AirWatch, and they want their devices to be managed. But the way it is at the moment is that employees can actually access Teams and Skype, for that matter, and other WebEx. They can access it from a non-managed device, which is really unfortunate, because when a company's investing so much money in an MDM solution and then they have this wide open door to their Office 365 infrastructure through Teams. So what we offer is the ability to also cover Teams, that you won't be able to access it unless through a MDM. Okay, so that's the solutions. This is now operation modes and topology, but I think probably I guessing just from the circumstances, I think we should probably pick this up maybe next time. Maybe get some feedback from Brett to see what he thinks about the solutions, how he, if he thinks that it's something that ASG can, we could work together, and whether there'll be interest from the customers, etc. What's your initial?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But yeah, no, it does seem interesting. I will probably have to defer to Brett on the where we're at in this space.
Right. Okay. So I'll tell you what. Maybe the next step is I'll send you a recording of this presentation, and when Brett has time, he'll be able to have a quick look. Again, just based on the circumstances, we didn't go through everything, but that was definitely like the main solutions that we have, and it's definitely a good start. And do you think that the channel management solution is something that you could suggest to your customers now, or?
I think probably it does seem like something that is probably going to be a situation, something they're going to hit, a problem they're going to hit. Yeah, I think but I'm not. It's not one I've talked to customers too much about. I know there's sort of vague plans. I don't know how detailed they are, but yeah.
Right. Well, it's something that you could bring up, like a lot of times when some people, like, they know they have the issue, and sometimes people are like, yeah, you know what, like, yeah, you're right, we do have that issue, and they just didn't think about it. But maybe just something also just for on the record, so that when Brett hears this, we have different types of partner programs. So we have partners who are referrals or referrals, and they refer customers to us, and then we also have partners who are more involved, and they know about our product and are able to offer first level support. And the commercials are obviously based on the different types of partners. So there'll be either 10% or 15%, or more, depending on how involved the partners are with the product. There's also the ability to try out the product, to have a POC. Obviously, if a partner wants to get more involved and offer first level support, so then obviously they're going to want to have hands-on they're going to need to have hands-on experience with it, and that's something that we obviously help out with. And even if a partner just wants to be a referral, but they wouldn't want to refer the solution to a customer unless they've used it themselves or seen that it's good, that's also fine. We can set up a POC just so that you can try out the solutions, see what they do, have more of a hands-on experience with it, and then be able to refer the solutions onto the customers. And with regards to pricing, I'm saying that's we have pricing. It's at the moment it's SaaS, it's software as a service, and the pricing obviously depends on the amount of users. But that again, I guess, is something to speak about at a later stage. I think we're in the initial stages just to see whether there's common ground here to work on. So yeah, so that's our product.
Cool.
And like I said, I'll send you a recording, and I'll do I have Brett's? Yeah, I have Brett's.
Yeah,
email
you should
address
have it.
because,
Yeah,
I have it. So okay, great. And then we'll be in touch once there's been more of a chance to digest.
Cool. All right. Thanks for that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And have a great day.
You too. See you.